DB is somebody that, he's a Hall of Famer, like a legend, not only a good basketball player, a great person, a great leader.
Something shifted in women's basketball that night. It wasn't just another season opener. It wasn't just a win. What happened on that court between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky felt bigger, like a passing of the torch or the arrival of something we didn't quite know how to describe at the time. All eyes were on Caitlin Clark, and for good reason. In just 41 games, she had already achieved something it took Diana Taurasi, one of the greatest to ever touch the court, 565 games to accomplish. It wasn't hype anymore. It was happening, right in front of us. And the pace at which it was happening left fans, analysts, and even opposing players trying to figure out what exactly they were witnessing. It wasn't just the triple-double. Yes, that alone would have been enough to make headlines. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists in a blowout. Win. But it wasn't just that. There were 11 records shattered in a single night, most of which barely made it into the post-game coverage. That's how overwhelming the performance was. And when you look deeper, you realize this wasn't just a great night. It was the kind of night that shifts how people talk about the sport. Clark didn't just dominate. She rewrote what dominance looks like in the WNBA, but while Clark had the spotlight, there was another moment that, in any other game, would have stolen it. Dewana Bonner, after 15 years of professional excellence, finally crossed into basketball. Immortality. Just 7 points shy of third on the WNBA's all-time scoring list at tip-off, Bonner stepped up and calmly knocked down the free throws that sealed her place in history. 7th out for 189 points and counting. The crowd stood. The announcer's voice cracked with emotion. And for a few seconds, the wave of Caitlin Clark hysteria gave way to something more timeless, respect for a legend. Bonner wasn't just scoring points. She was anchoring a locker room full of rising stars, helping set a standard that could carry Indiana not just through this season, but deep into the next era of Fever basketball. The game itself? A 35-point demolition of Chicago. Final score, 93-58. The second largest win in Indiana Fever franchise history. But to understand how the Fever got there, you need to understand what was happening on every inch of the floor. Aaliyah Boston, who had spent the offseason quietly refining her post moves and footwork, turned the much-hyped matchup against Angel Reese into a defensive clinic. 5 blocks, 13 rebounds, 17 points. She wasn't just dominant. She was efficient, clean, and overwhelming. Angel Reese, who had talked in the days leading up to the game about controlling the paint, was held to 5 of 14 shooting. Every time she looked up at the rim, there was Boston, arms up, feet planted, denying her space, making it clear that this wasn't just another battle in the post. This was a statement. Boston's performance moved her into the top 10 in franchise history in rebounds and blocks, and this is only her 3rd season. She's not chasing records. She's setting the pace for how quickly they can fall. But even with that, the synergy between her and Clark may have been the most exciting development of the night. Clark found Boston with perfectly timed bounce passes and high-low setups, reading the defense like a veteran. And Boston responded, with soft finishes, rim protection, and the kind of court awareness that makes you think they've been playing together for a decade, not a season and change. Then came the surprises. Clark, long touted for her scoring and passing, showed a new layer. Defensive aggression, 4 blocks, a career high, the most ever by a point guard in a season opener. She swatted shots like a seasoned two-way player, not someone whose defense had been called her only weakness. And the wild part? These weren't lucky blocks. They were calculated, controlled, and perfectly timed. She wasn't gambling. She was reading plays before they happened, moving her feet, and closing space with precision. It stunned commentators. No one had expected it, but it changed the entire tone of the game. Together, Clark and Boston combined for 9 blocks, a record for a guard-center duo on opening night. That stat alone tells you how synchronized this team is becoming. It wasn't supposed to happen this fast. Teams don't usually gel in game. 1. Rotations take time. Communication needs repetition. But Indiana looked like they were in mid-season form. The ball moved effortlessly. Help defense rotated like clockwork. And while Chicago kept trying to find holes, they kept slamming into a wall of preparation and execution. That wall had names. Bonner, Boston, Clark, Cunningham. Mitchell, veterans, and young stars moving as one. The final minutes of the fourth quarter were something else entirely. Clark, sitting on 18 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds, re-entered the game to chase history. Every possession became electric. The crowd was locked in, the bench was standing. Every time she dished a pass, fans leaned forward. When one teammate missed a wide-open three, a groan rippled through the arena. Then, with just under 5 minutes left, it happened. A perfect pass to Boston for a mid-range jumper, assist number 10. And not long after that, a rebound off a long miss sealed it. Her third career triple-double, the fastest to ever reach that mark in league history. She did it in 41 games. Others took hundreds. She now trails only Alyssa Thomas on the all-time 20-point triple-double list. But here's the thing. Clark isn't chasing records like a checklist. She's playing within the flow, and the numbers just keep falling into her lap. 9 games with at least 20 points and 10 assists. She's tied with Diana Taurasi, again, in 41 games. Taurasi needed 565. Courtney Vandersloot, long considered the assist queen of the WNBA, needed 430 games to reach 10 such performances. Clark is on pace to get there next week. It's not just dominance, it's acceleration, and it's terrifying. That's the word you kept hearing in post-game reactions from other teams. Terrifying. Because if this is game 1, what does game 30 look like? What happens when this team has a full season of chemistry under its belt? What happens when Clark and Boston run that pick and roll 300 more times? Or when Bonner climbs even higher in the scoring ranks? Or when Mitchell heats up for a full month? What happens when this isn't new anymore but expected? Because if Indiana can break 11 records on a night they described as just playing hard, what happens when they're actually locked in with something to prove? This isn't just the rise of a good team. It's the beginning of a potential dynasty. And dynasties, real ones, don't just win. They change the rules. They force the league to adapt. They become the blueprint. That's what Indiana is chasing now. And after what we just saw, it feels less like a dream and more like a deadline. The other teams have been warned. They saw it. Everyone saw it. The logo threes, the no-look passes, the blocks, the hustle, the unselfishness, the 35-point win. You don't just recover from that. You don't just brush it off and move on. Because when a team is that complete, that early, you start checking the calendar for when you play them next. Not for the win, but for the chance to survive the storm. For the fans in Indiana, this is beyond validation. It's a renaissance. The Fever have been chasing relevance for years, sitting in the shadows, building slowly, collecting pieces. Now, the picture is finally clear. This is what they were waiting for. Clark, Boston, Bonner. And the records? They're just the evidence, 11 of them. One night. A page torn from the future and dropped right into the present. And the rest of the league is left trying to figure out how to catch up. If this is what they're doing in May, what happens in August? Or October? Playoffs, MVP chatter, a championship run. It's all on the table now. And make no mistake, the league is watching. So are the sponsors, the media, the fans, the kids. The stories we'll tell 10 years from now, they started tonight.